Think about the last time you completely snapped at someone you love over, something entirely meaningless.
Oh, like an unwashed coffee mug left on the counter?
Right. Or just a really mundane question about an unread email.
And in that a split second, your body just completely hijacks your brain.
You lash out.
Yeah.
And instantly, before the echo of your own voice even fades from the room, you're hit with this crushing wave of guilt.
Yeah, it's awful. But today, we are finding out exactly why that happens.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone. This is the Resonant Leader Series, Season 1, Episode 3.
And it is such an important topic today. We treat this reaction like it's a personality flaw, but underneath it all, it's actually this fascinating, hardwired biological sequence.
Exactly. Our mission today is to explore a really specific transition point within the Resonance Clarity Framework.
Right, which was developed through, over 30 years of global nomadic work and lived experience by Dr. V.
Yeah, it's his brilliant synthesis. It takes concepts like the lotus leaf principle,
which is all about how a surface naturally repels heavy, stagnant water to just, maintain its own integrity.
Yes, and it integrates that with the golden rule and the law of attraction. But it translates all of those concepts into the hard science of nervous system regulation.
And the actual frequencies we emit in our daily lives. It bridges that huge gap between how we want to interact with the world and what our nervous systems will actually allow us to do when we're under immense pressure.
Which brings us perfectly to Alex. We're continuing her journey from episodes 1 and 2 today.
Right. And if you've been following along, you know Alex is not some chaotic, unhinged person.
Not at all. She is a highly respected, deeply capable professional. But she has been operating in what the framework calls the incoherent mind.
She's carrying that heavy bag of emotional weight.
Exactly. She's been stuck on the absorber frequency. We saw this when her friend Maya was going through that messy breakup.
Oh, yeah. Maya vented, and Alex just completely unconsciously absorbed all of that trauma.
Like a total emotional sponge. Until she felt just as exhausted as Maya did.
And that absorber frequency is incredibly common, especially for highly empathetic, high-achieving people. You just take on the emotional weather of your team, your friends, your family.
But there is a strict biological limit to how much weight one nervous system can carry. And today, we're looking at the exact moment that limit is breached.
We're looking at the shift from the absorber frequency to the defender frequency.
Right. What actually happens when that heavy bag is completely maxed out. So let's put you right in the room with Alex.
Okay, let's set the scene.
It's a Tuesday morning. She wakes up, and that heavy bag is already completely full from the stress of the previous week.
Just overflowing before she even gets out of bed?
Exactly. And her partner walks into the kitchen and asks a completely mundane question. They say, "Hey, did you send that email to the accountant yesterday?"
Now, notice the nature of that stimulus. It's not an attack at all. It's literally just a request for basic information.
Right. But Alex's reaction completely doesn't match the stimulus. She doesn't just say, "Oh, no, I'll do it later."
She snaps.
She snaps. Her tone is sharp, defensive, biting. The tension just cuts right through the room.
And her partner probably physically recoils?
They do. And in that exact second, Alex is washed with this tidal wave of guilt. She really didn't mean to do it, but she did.
Yeah. And then, just a few days later, we see a totally different manifestation of the exact same underlying problem.
The withdrawal.
Yes. So Alice is having lunch with your friend Maya, and Maya notices Alex is, checked out. She says, "You've been distant lately. Is everything okay?"
Now, instead of snapping this time, Alex's chest tightens. Her throat practically closes up.
She completely withdraws. Her face just goes cold.
And she just flatly states, "I'm fine. I'm just busy."
Well, both of those reactions, the aggressive snap and the cold withdrawal, they're symptoms of the exact same internal shift. Alex has entered the protector mind.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the contrast between the mundane trigger and the intense reaction is just staggering.
It really is.
Her partner's just asking about an email. Why does the brain choose that exact, seemingly harmless moment to completely break protocol and launch into an aggressive defense? It's like a dam that has been taking on water silently for weeks.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
The partner's email question wasn't a flood. It was just one single drop of water. But it's the exact drop that caused the concrete to crack.
What's fascinating here is that the brain didn't choose the moment based on the content of the email question at all. It chose the moment based on the math of the nervous system.
The math.
Yeah, when Alex wakes up with a completely full heavy bag, she is operating at 99% of her cognitive and emotional capacity.
So she's reacting to the accumulated weight, not the actual question right in front of her.
Precisely. Her nervous system is essentially a spreadsheet that has run out of memory.
Oh, wow.
So when her partner asks about the email, the brain doesn't process it as a simple request. It processes it as one more demand on a system that is already flashing a critical system failure warning.
So the response, the sharp tone, the snap, it isn't malice at all.
Not at all. It is purely protective. It's the body just slamming the emotional gates shut to survive the load.
Which brings us to the core biology of the protector mind and the defender frequency. We really want to demystify the shame of reacting poorly by looking at the hardwired survival mechanics underneath it.
Because it's purely biological.
Right. So what is physically happening in Alex's body in that fraction of a second before she snaps?
Well, it is a profound systemic shift. When the nervous system senses that it's at capacity, it initiates a process called neuroception.
Neuroception, okay.
Yeah, which is basically subconscious scanning for danger. And because the system is so overloaded, it loses the ability to distinguish between emotional unsafety like a stressful email and physical danger.
It thinks a bear is standing.
Exactly. The amygdala, which is your brain's threat detection center, completely hijacks the prefrontal cortex, which is your logic and regulation center.
So the logic center is literally taken offline.
It is dramatically dampened, and then all these physical changes happen instantaneously. The vagus nerve, which controls your social engagement system, it just shifts state.
Wow.
Your breath shortens and moves way up into your chest. Your shoulders physically tighten, pulling up toward your ears to guard your vulnerable neck.
Right.
And your jaw clenches.
And the tone of voice. I noticed in the resonance clarity framework, it mentions the vocal cords specifically. Why does our voice get so sharp when we're defending?
Because your biology is literally stripping the social emotion out of your voice.
That is wild.
When the protector mind activates, the muscles around your vocal cords constrict. The biological goal here is to project dominance, to issue a warning or to prepare for physical exertion.
Doesn't want to sound nice.
No, your body doesn't care about sounding loving when it thinks it's fending off a physical threat. The body is literally, biologically signaling, I need protection.
That makes the shift from the absorber to the defender frequency sound almost inevitable. I mean, it's like your body is preparing for a physical brawl, but the threat is just a spreadsheet.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have to push back a little bit on this idea that it's purely a brilliant survival mechanism.
Oh.
How so?
Well, if this biological mechanism is just trying to protect us, why does it leave us feeling so absolutely terrible? I mean, when Alex snapped at her partner, she felt instant crushing guilt.
Right.
If this mechanism is successfully doing its job to protect us, shouldn't we feel relieved? Shouldn't we feel safe instead of guilty and isolated?
That is the ultimate paradox of the defender frequency. If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the collateral damage of how it protects you.
Okay, collateral damage.
Because it's an unconscious, deeply ancient survival response, it completely lacks calibration.
What do you mean by calibration in this context?
I mean, the amygdala doesn't measure the scale of the modern threat accurately. It uses a sledgehammer to swat a fly. A sledgehammer to swat a fly. That perfectly captures the disproportionate nature of the snap.
Right. So in the short term, swinging that sledgehammer and snapping at your partner protects your immediate energy. It completely stops the influx of more demands. The conversation ends.
The sledgehammer works. The fly is dead.
Yes, but in the long term, you've just smashed a massive hole in your living room coffee table. You've damaged the relationship ecosystem.
And that's where the guilt comes in.
Exactly. The guilt you feel a split second later is your prefrontal cortex coming back online.
The logic center wakes back up.
Yes. The higher level logic center re-engages, it surveys the room, and it recognizes the collateral damage the sledgehammer just caused to someone you care about.
Wow.
The protector didn't fail at its job of stopping the threat, but it succeeded at a terrible, terrible cost.
It protected her energy for a split second, but it set fire to the relationship to do it. It's sort of like setting your house on fire just to stay warm for the night.
Oh, that's exactly it.
I mean, a heat is immediate, but now you don't have a home.
Which is why staying in the protector mind is so deeply exhausting. You are constantly dealing with the smoke and the ashes of these reactive moments.
Like cleaning up the mess.
You expend twice as much energy apologizing, repairing, and analyzing the damage as you would have if you had just processed the initial stress smoothly.
This brings the lotus leaf principle back into sharp focus for me. A lotus leaf doesn't absorb the water until it drowns.
No, it doesn't.
And it doesn't violently shake the water off to survive either. The water just naturally beads up and rolls off. It maintains its boundaries without causing any collateral damage.
That's the ideal state.
So, how do we get Alex and ourselves to that state? How do we move from this deeply unconscious biological sledgehammer reaction to a conscious intervention?
Well, it requires an intentional interruption of the biological sequence we just talked about. And for Alex, that starts with a moment of deep, honest reflection.
But not about her character.
Exactly. Not about her character, but about her mechanics.
Yes, this is a pivotal moment in the resonance clarity framework. Alex is journaling. She's sitting there, reflecting on these moments where she's either lashing out at her partner or shutting down with Maya.
And she asks herself a profoundly objective question.
She writes, "Why do I get defensive when I'm overwhelmed?"
It's a brilliant question because it completely removes the moral judgment. She isn't asking, why am I such a bad partner or why am I so broken?
She is investigating the engine of her own nervous system.
And the answer that arrives for her is a total breakthrough. She realizes, because I don't know how to protect myself without pushing people away.
Oh, that is so powerful.
Right there, she separates her intention from her execution. Her intention is completely valid, self-protection. But her execution is flawed. Isolation and relationship damage.
So how do we change the execution? I mean, if the biological response is that fast, if the amygdala is hijacking the brain in literally milliseconds, how can we possibly intercept it?
This brings us to a practical tool from Dr. V's framework. It's called Pause Before Protecting.
Pause before protecting. It sounds deceptively simple, like, oh, just pause.
Right. But when you understand the biology we just discussed, you realize that pausing requires intercepting a hardwired survival mechanism. It is a profound neurological practice.
Let's walk through exactly how this tool works in practice. So the very next time you feel that tightness in your chest,
where you feel your jaw clench.
Yeah, or you sense that sharp, emotionless tone rising in your throat. The very moment you feel yourself getting defensive, you must pause. Just stop.
You don't speak, you don't send the text, you don't walk out of the room in a huff, you just hold the physical moment.
You pause, you breathe, and then, and this is the crucial step, silently, in your own mind, you name it.
You say to yourself, this is my protector mind.
That naming process seems to be the hinge upon which this entire framework turns. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Why?
I mean,
from a neurological standpoint, why does silently saying a phrase like, this is my protector mind, do literally anything to stop a biological threat response?
Well, it comes down to a concept in neuroscience known as affect labeling.
Affect labeling.
Yeah. When you are in the defender frequency, your amygdala is hyperactive. But the moment you assign a specific descriptive label to your internal state, you literally force your brain to activate the language and logic centers in the prefrontal cortex.
Wait, really? So by forcing yourself to just find the words to describe the feeling, you are literally forcing the logic center of your brain to turn back on.
Precisely. You are shifting the blood flow and electrical activity in your brain away from the reactive threat center and back into the conscious rational center.
That's incredible.
It acts as a neurological override switch. Just naming the state physically dampens the amygdala's alarm bells.
That is fascinating. But naming it specifically as a mind or a frequency seems to have an added psychological benefit too.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if I snap and think, I am just an angry, toxic person, I'm stuck. That's an identity. It's fixed.
Right, there's no way out of that.
But if I use the framework and say, oh, I am currently experiencing the defender frequency, suddenly it's just a temporary state. It's like the weather. And weather changes.
You've completely nailed the psychological shift there. Frequencies can be tuned, they can be shifted. That one single sentence, this is my protector mind, signals to your nervous system that your conscious self sees the threat, acknowledges the heavy load, and is taking over manual control of the vehicle.
It gives the nervous system a momentary stand-down order.
And most importantly, it creates choice.
Choice. Because when you're reacting on autopilot, you have no choice. You're just blindly swinging the sledgehammer.
Exactly.
The pause gives you the vital second you need to choose not to swing it.
And that moment of conscious choice is the very first step toward the ultimate goal of the resonance clarity framework, which is moving into the aligned mind or the coherent mind.
To get it back to balance.
Right. It is the shift from reacting out of fear and overload to responding out of clarity and alignment with your true values. And the golden rule integration here is essential. You cannot treat others with resonant respect until you have established a resonant, regulated relationship with your own nervous system.
But I want to inject some realism here because this raises an important question. It is incredibly easy for us to sit behind these microphones and say, oh, just pause, just use affect labeling.
Sure, it sounds easy in theory.
Right. But how can you realistically carve out that one vital second to pause when your nervous system is absolutely screaming at you that you are under attack and need to defend yourself right now?
It is extremely difficult. It takes immense practice. And frankly, you will fail at it sometimes. But the secret is that you cannot wait until the dam is bursting to try and fix the cracks.
You have to get ahead of it.
You have to start looking for the early warning signs of the heavy bag filling up.
Catching it before it breaches the threshold.
Yes. Start noticing when your internal water level is getting high. Notice when you start, holding your breath while reading emails.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Most people do. Notice when your shoulders start creeping up toward your ears during your commute. If you map the physical signs of the absorber frequency early, before it turns into the defender frequency, carving out that 1 second to pause and name the protector mind becomes much, much easier.
Catch it in the body before it comes out of the mouth, because the body always knows first.
The body is the dashboard. If you ignore the flashing check engine light, you can't be surprised when the car breaks down in the middle of an intersection.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to connect this directly back to you, the person listening right now. Think about your own life this past week.
Really reflect on it.
When was the last time you snapped at your partner over something completely trivial? Or when did you coldly withdraw from a friend who was just trying to check in on you?
Bring that specific moment to mind, recall the trigger, and more importantly, recall the actual physical sensation in your chest and your throat right before you reacted.
We want to reassure you. Your protector mind is not your enemy. It's not a sign that you are a toxic friend, a failing partner, or a bad person.
Not at all.
It is simply a biological signal that your heavy bag is too full. It is that flashing red light on the dashboard of your nervous system telling you that you cannot carry another drop of someone else's emotional weather.
It means it is time to consciously step out of the defender frequency. It is time to stop absorbing, stop defending, and move toward true alignment.
And the beautiful thing about this framework is that you do not have to do that alone, and you don't have to guess where your nervous system is currently sitting. We want to direct you to take a massive practical step forward today.
Highly recommend this.
Go take the free Resonance Clarity Assessment at drv.com. It takes less than 2 minutes to complete online.
It is an incredibly insightful diagnostic tool to help you identify exactly which frequency you are currently operating on.
It really is. And based on your specific results, you will receive a free, personalized, express-guided meditation from Dr. V.
Which is fantastic.
It's designed to provide an immediate nervous system reset, really helping you shift out of that defensive posture and back into coherence. Take 2 minutes for yourself today. It could genuinely save you hours of relationship repair tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But before we let you go, our expert has a final concept for you to mull over a way to apply everything we just learned to the outside world.
Think about the person in your life who seems the most, difficult, angry, or chronically cold. Maybe it's a coworker who always snaps, a family member who is notoriously defensive, or a neighbor who just seems perpetually guarded.
We all know someone like that.
We do. What if they aren't actually an angry person at all? What if, just like Alex, they are simply trapped in an unconscious defender frequency, desperately trying to protect a nervous system that absorbed way too much weight a long time ago? How would seeing them as over-defended rather than difficult change your very next interaction with them?
It completely reframes the social landscape. I mean, we aren't dealing with clean, visible, broken bones when we interact with each other. We are dealing with invisible heavy bags, overloaded nervous systems, and swinging sledgehammers.
So true.
But once you know how the biology works, and once you have the tools to pause and actually name it, the muddy waters finally start to clear up. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
This is Dr. V. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Your journey, I'm sure. And if you want to know exactly which frequency is running your leadership right now, I invite you to take the free Resonance Clarity Assessment. You'll find the link in the show notes. You can take responsibility for your resonance, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.